Hi, good afternoon. How is it in New York City?
A full day so far. We just briefed the General Assembly, and that went very well.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Yes. So I'm going to mute myself. Thank you, PM.
Thank you very much. I want to greet the members of the UN Press Corps, and I want to thank the Office of the Spokesperson for the Secretary General for facilitating this briefing. And of course, I want to thank our own permanent representative, Her Excellency Inga Rhonda King, for her work in this regard. As is known by all the members of the press, at the UN and here in the Caribbean, that yesterday, St. Vincent and the Grenadines assumed the presidency of the United Nations Security Council. It is a historic occasion, a moment for our country, and it comes on the heels of our 41st anniversary of our Reclamation of Independence in 1979. We're the smallest country ever to sit on the United Nations Security Council, and of course, assuming the presidency is an especial honor, and we are immensely proud to bring our unique perspective to the discussions and to make our contribution to the maintenance of international peace and security. Tomorrow at 8:30, tomorrow the 3rd of November, we will have a signature event, a very critical signature event of our presidency under the agenda item, Peace Building and Sustaining Peace, entitled Contemporary Drivers of Conflict and Insecurity. I will chair the meeting, and it will be broadcast live on the UN Web TV. We have a distinguished panel of briefers. Tomorrow, the Deputy Secretary General, Her Excellency Amina Mohammed, His Excellency Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki, the Chief Executive Officer of the New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, Sir Hilary Beckles, the Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, and the President of ECOSOC, His Excellency Ambassador Muneen Akram, the Permanent Representative of Pakistan. In addition, we have some high-level participants from the Council members confirmed for the meeting, including His Excellency Mr. Othman Jarandi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Tunisia, Her Excellency Ms. Mariam Kitir, the Minister of Development Cooperation from Belgium, His Excellency Lord Tariq Ahmed of Wimbledon, the Minister of State for the Commonwealth, United Nations and South Asia of the United Kingdom Government, His Excellency Mr. Niels Annen, Minister of State in the Federal Foreign Office of Germany, His Excellency Mr. Lee Hoi Trung, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Vietnam, and His Excellency Mr. Sergei Vershinin, the Deputy Foreign Minister of the Russian Federation. And I've been advised that the other council members, the People's Republic of China, South Africa, Estonia, Niger, the Dominican Republic, Indonesia, United States of America, and France, their respective permanent representatives will take the floor for that signature event tomorrow. The main points that we in St. Vincent and the Grenadines during our presidency would like to emphasize would be the following. First, we want to highlight climate change, development challenges, pandemics, and other drivers of conflict, including issues connected to poverty, desertification, and the like. St. Vincent and Grenadines wants to promote a coherent and whole system approach to addressing conflict. In this vein, we have invited the president of ECOSOC, as well as the chair of the Peace Building Commission, to two different meetings this month. Haiti is also a priority for us, and we are pleased that the police commissioner of the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, BINU, will brief us on Wednesday, November the 4th, on capacity building and gender responsive policing in the context of the annual United Nations Police Commissioners briefing to the UN Security Council. We also will continue what is in effect the role in presidencies of the Africa 3, the A3+1, the one being St. Vincent and the Grenadines from the African diaspora. We know that Niger held the presidency in September. The Russian Federation did so in October, and then we are here in November. South Africa would be there in December, and Tunisia in January 2021. Our work program actually is quite full and includes meetings on important issues like Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, the report on the G5 Sahel Joint Force under the item Peace and Security in Africa, Somalia, and more. We'll also have important adoptions on the renewal of the mission in Central African Republic, the United Nations Interim Security Force for Abyei, which, as you know, is a disputed area between Sudan and South Sudan, and on the partial lifting of the arms embargo in Somalia, exceptions for humanitarian assistance and authorization to inspect vessels bound to and from Somalia, and civil society participation. That's very important to us. The main priorities of our presidency would be to highlight the critical linkage between development and peace and security, as well as the drivers of conflicts such as climate change, biodiversity loss, desertification, pandemics, and unresolved historical burdens, the legacies of underdevelopment that remain unaddressed today. And these drivers, I reiterate, need to be addressed in a holistic manner with the United Nations main organs and the other United Nations bodies and agencies working together within their respective mandates. And a critical priority for us would be to conduct the work of the Council fairly, with due consultation with affected countries, all Council members, and with the necessary degree of transparency to the wider General Assembly membership, the media, civil society, and the global public at large. And we're hoping that the press would play an important part in this exercise. We are very proud to be part of the A3+1. And what we are doing here during this month of our presidency and our signature event, particularly tomorrow, we are building on the Niger signature event, which dealt with the humanitarian impacts of environmental degradation. Now, it is important that we have increasing cooperation and interaction among the organs such as ECOSOC and the General Assembly. And we are considering inviting them to meetings. And we have, as I've indicated, invited the president of ECOSOC to brief at our signature event. And we have invited the chair of the Peace Building Commission to meet on peace and security in Africa and to receive the G5 Sahel report. I just want to indicate that the Peace Building Commission, it does a lot of good work on the issues in the Sahel and has a bridge building role between the Security Council, ECOSOC, and the General Assembly. We will, of course, make sure that you, the press, always we would be available, and our team would be available to speak with you. Our program of work for November was adopted this morning by consensus among Security Council members. And as I've indicated, we're going to do a lot of work during the UN Police Week. And we are not only addressing the issue with Haiti, but police commissioners also from the missions in the Central African Republic, Mali, and South Sudan. On Africa, there's the issue generally of peace and security in Africa, and there's Somalia, there's Libya, the UN mission in Libya, the Middle East, regular monthly meetings on Syria, Yemen and Palestine, the 1701 report, consultations on Lebanon, and UNAMI and UNAMI in Iraq. From Asia, we will have the 1718 DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea Committee consultations. And from Europe, we'll have a debate on Bosnia and Herzegovina. And there are other items or events, and we're hoping to have 3 adoptions. UNISFA to renew the mandate in Abyei. And in the case of Somalia, with respect to the partial lifting of the arms embargo and the authorization to inspect vessels, and the renewal of the mandate for the UN mission in Central African Republic, and a reauthorization with respect to Bosnia and Herzegovina. And we look forward to the Finnish workshop, which is planned by Finland annually to welcome the incoming 5 members of the Council. And when South Africa goes at the end of December, Kenya comes on board. We look forward very much to working with Kenya. And our prominent representative, Ambassador King, will be very engaged with civil society, and intends to brief civil society on the program of work through the World Federation of the United Nations Associations, perhaps today, tomorrow, and Ambassador King can so indicate. That's broadly what we intend to do, and I don't know whether the press has any queries, any matters they want us to clarify, and if I can't do so, Ambassador King is here, ready and willing to do the same. Thank you very much.
Mr. Prime Minister, on behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association, thank you very much for doing this briefing. We very rarely get world leaders doing briefings for the UN Correspondents Association. Oh, I think we lost you. And I know you must be very busy because
I'm still here, Edith.
Good. I know you must be very busy because, as I'm sure you know, there's an election in the United States tomorrow, and your own election is on Thursday, as I have read, for a 5th term. I have 2 questions. First, on your signature event, is St. Vincent planning a resolution, a presidential statement, some kind of an outcome document? And I wondered if, since your election is in 3 days, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your campaign and how the United Nations and St. Vincent's election to the Council has impacted it, perhaps.
Well, You're an experienced journalist, and as you know, good policy is good politics. So that if you do policy questions very well, you have an intelligent electorate, it's likely to redound to your credit. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in the Eastern Caribbean, because we are the smallest country ever, and if you were to write a novel of the creative imagination, and you had said that a country which is 110,000 persons would be at the United Nations Security Council and would hold the presidency, it would sound very far-fetched. So it has given a lift to people. Students would meet me and they would say, Prime Minister, St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the Security Council tells me that though I, as a student, I as a person, I'm not better than anyone else. No one is better than us. And therefore, we are part of this global family, and it belongs to all of us. And it's a very liberating thought, particularly in an age when you have so much petty nationalism and a lot of vanities in relation to national borders and jingoism and who can come and who can't come, and issues touching and concerning people want to behave, some countries want to behave in a unilateralist manner, ignoring the Charter of the United Nations, ignoring small island developing states. So all of these things come together and coalesce to give the people in the country a sense of lift. And they're very pleased about it. And I believe that it is fair to say that our our election to the Security Council, now to the presidency, may contribute to a favorable view that the people or sections of the population have of my prime ministership and our government's position. So this is the way in which I will answer you. In relation to the first part of your query, we are not actually planning an outcome document at this time, but it will be pursued during the course of the year. I will, of course, make a statement tomorrow at the signature event, which would, in a sense, encapsulate some of the central themes, some of which I have mentioned here to you today, Edith. I hope I have answered you adequately.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Prime Minister, my name is Philippe Reiter from AFP. I have a question about special envoys. There is still no special envoy for Libya, Western Sahara, and Sudan. What are you going to do during this month to have a unity at the Security Council to get nomination for this job? Thank you.
Well, first, in relation to Libya, let me say that St. Vincent and Grenadines, we are very pleased to see that there has been a ceasefire. And we await very much the wise counsel of the Secretary General in relation to the modalities for the maintenance of this ceasefire. And we are all always seeking to cooperate with other countries at the Security Council to see if we can take some of these conflicts away from big power politics and try to get good professional people to assist us in understanding better what is taking place and to have them play an important role in resolution and to report to us at the council to find appropriate solutions so that we are as anxious as you are to have the relevant appointments. Of course, things don't always happen in a unilinear manner. Sometimes you take zigzags, but we do get there. And we have to approach it all with a patience and a calm, even though these are matters of urgency. I don't know whether I have sufficiently satisfied your anxieties, but be assured.
Yes, it's fine. Thank you very much.
Very much. I want to say that I value this engagement with great, not just interest, but love, a genuine love. Because without the United Nations and without the bedrock principles of international law, and without multilateralism, we would live in a virtual Hobbesian state of nature. And I don't think that people across the world would like that. And in this pandemic world and the post-COVID world, a better world is possible, but this can only take place if all peoples work together, and nations have to own processes. And even though we own the processes, we nevertheless function within a frame of multilateralism and through the institutions, not of a world government, but through the institutions of the United Nations, where there's consensus building. There's so many things that humanity can achieve together. And as a small state, we just have to be striving for these matters. And that is why tomorrow's signature event is so important, because we are addressing the contemporary drivers of conflict and insecurity. Thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister.